In this video, Facilitated Training will be exploring the process of developing training in the workplace. Introductory concepts and processes will be shared, including the purpose of training. Included in this process is how organisations identify training needs and how to select, implement and evaluate training programs. So, what is training? Training is the process of teaching employees the basic skills they need to perform their jobs or for developing additional skills. The organisation's training programs must make sense in terms of the company's strategic goals. For example, if one of the goals is to expand the international reach of their market, one of the things they might focus on in training is developing understanding and skills and etiquette geared towards understanding cultural norms in the countries that they want to expand to. It should be noted that training is part of a more significant issue of performance management. That is, generally, an integrated, goal-oriented approach to assigning training, assessing and rewarding employees' performance. Managers set goals for their employees that are aligned to the company's goals and strategy. Training is one of the ways that the organisation helps the individual to meet these goals. The training process includes these 5 steps. 1. Needs analysis. 2. Instructional design. 3. Validation. 4. Implementation. And 5. Evaluation. It is essential that each step in the process be completed thoroughly. This is because each step builds on from each other. The more time and effort spent on the previous step, the better the next step can be. Step 1. Needs analysis. The needs analysis identifies the training needs for an employee. There are 2 main ways of identifying those needs, and they are via a task analysis and a performance analysis. The task analysis is a detailed study of a job role to identify specific skills and, in some instances, qualifications or certifications that are required. This is sometimes referred to as a training pathway or a career pathway. Information captured includes actions, standard operating procedures, and tasks that are specifically required of the role. This process is especially critical for new employees. A task analysis record should ideally be used to capture this information. Included here is an example that is available at the Facilitated Training website. The second type of analysis is called a performance analysis. The goal here is to verify that there is a performance gap to the standard required of the role. The outcome of the analysis could result in additional training, performance coaching, or even perhaps a transfer to another role in the organisation. Several different methodologies can be used to determine an employee's training needs. These can include, but are not limited to, contractual obligations, health and safety legislation, certification and qualification frameworks for people such as apprentices or tradespeople, data including annual performance appraisals and coaching data, skills assessments to determine current knowledge, observation from managers, supervisors and subject matter experts against agreed standards. Step 2. Training methods. When beginning the discussion of which training methods to use, there are several tips to keep in mind to keep the training useful. First, the training needs to be meaningful. Learning references that are linked to the role and specific scenarios in the workplace assist in building context and meaning for the learner. This will assist in memory retention of new knowledge or skills or behaviours required back in the workplace. For example, At the beginning of the training session, it is critical for the trainer to frame the session and what is expected of the learner. This includes the reason why the training is needed, how the training will be conducted, when and where the training will occur, and most importantly, what the learner can expect and how it will specifically benefit them. Making skill transfer easy for the learner. It is critical to ensure that the training design makes it easy for the learner to transfer knowledge from the training room back into the workplace. This can be accomplished by maximising the similarities to the work environment in the training environment. For example, if conducting a knife handling skills session for cooks, the training environment should ideally be undertaken in a commercial kitchen where learners have access to tools and resources that apply to the new knife handling skills. It is vital to ensure that adequate time is scheduled for practice of the newly learnt skills. Setting the scene for new employees is essential, including providing context and examples of potential issues that they may face back in the workplace. Lastly, it is crucial to motivate the learner. This is generally achieved via communication, including the invitation to training and the introduction to the training session. Reiterating context and the benefits to the individual should occur throughout the training session. It is generally accepted that people learn best via hands-on application. So, provide as much hands-on practice as possible while learning at their own pace. Humans, young or old, tend to learn best when positive reinforcement is used. Be sure to acknowledge correct procedures and application of new skills learnt when they occur. With this in mind, let's take a look at several different approaches organisations can use when designing their training. However, it is essential to understand that each has its advantages and disadvantages. Remember that one size does not fit all when applied to the learning environment. Once a training need has been established and the desired outcome, only then the training approach should be decided. Whilst these various learning interventions will not be reviewed in this video, additional information can be sourced from various ebooks, guides and learning materials located at the Facilitated Training website. And of course, you can Google. Step 3. Validation. To determine the training validity, an organisation may test the training on a small group of learners. This is also referred to as a pilot training group. Deploy the training to a small group of people, ideally 2 groups. Compare the training outcomes and performance from both groups. Rework training, including materials and activities based on the results from the learners, their performance and organisational feedback. Compare the results to organisational employees who have not yet completed the training. If the performance of those who have not completed the pilot training is the same or better than those who have, it is questionable that the training is needed or valuable. Step 4. Implementation. Based on the piloting of this training need, the next step is to conduct the training of the employees who have been identified for this new skill. It is important to schedule training at a time that is suitable for both the learner and the organisation. Be mindful of times that are considered to be peak times for the business, or if the learner is scheduled to work in specific shifts such as an afternoon or a morning shift. Your training schedule will need to adapt to the particular needs of the trainees and the business. Learning a new skill can be mentally draining, so schedule the training into small chunks to reduce mental fatigue. Step 5. Evaluation. Evaluation of training is often a step that is skipped. In many organisations, most resources and effort will be applied to the first 4 steps. However, to effectively evaluate training, it needs to be considered before training materials and training is conducted. It makes no sense for the organisation to invest in the creation and deployment of training for their employees and not have a way to determine the return on investment of the training. Organisations must have evidence that the training is valid and that the performance of employees improves as a result of the investment in the training. There are 4 basic ways to measure the effectiveness of training. This is known as the Kirkpatrick model of evaluation. This is just one of many possible ways to evaluate training. The first step in this model is the learner's reaction to the training. Did they like it? Did they find the training materials useful? To what degree did the learners react favourably to the training? These reactions are most often recorded in training evaluation sheets handed out at the end of training courses. Level 2. Learning analysis if they have generally understood the training. For example, increase in knowledge, skills or experience. This can be achieved by assessing the individual's understanding of the training content. Level 3. Behaviour transfer. This reviews if learners are utilising what they have learnt back into the workplace, e.g., is there a change in behaviour? Is a new skill applied back in the workplace? Level 4. Results. This determines if the material or training has had a positive impact on the business or organisation subsequently to training being conducted. Ultimately, what organisations want to see is a significant increase in employee performance. If this can be tracked and demonstrated post-training with a direct correlation, then training is going to be deemed as effective. If it's not tracked and it can't be correlated, then equally the business will question the value of the training delivered. In this brief video, we have shared the basic steps of designing and implementing a training course. It is a complicated and time-consuming process that is often underestimated. However, investment in these steps will enable a well-constructed training program for your organisation. For more great resources, including customisable training materials, references and guides, visit Facilitated Training today.